Hi, everybody. So, today I would like to talk about the different parallel 3D worlds or 3D timelines, because from my experience and from what I've seen during my inner journeying, as I call it, an alternative to astral projection, and I talk about that in other videos as well, I found that there is like a main timeline, main 3D world that comes from what I call the prime reality. In other words, the afterlife that is free and where we already create our own realities. There's this like main prime space, let's say, or cosmos or universe, and then there are these parallel universes. And in that prime or main timeline or universe, the earth is quite perfect. It's like a perfect version of this imperfect copy or this matrix, if you will. It's softer density, so it's I explained in another video how the higher and lower density get kind of mixed up, but so I rather avoid that and I just say softer density. It's more light based, and we are in tune with our multi-dimensional energy fields, with our multi-dimensional abilities. So we are aware that there is an afterlife or a prime reality where we create our worlds, and we are aware that we co-create the 3D world with our thoughts, with our emotions, with our energy. And we are able to use these abilities to a certain extent. Like, there's still certain limitations. It's not as free as, for example, in fifth dimensional reality. But we also consciously incarnate, and we consciously leave our incarnation. So we know why we came, why we are experiencing the storyline that we created for ourselves, and that it's kind of fun to be, in certain time and space for a certain limited experience, because in the broader dimensions it's limitless, it's free, we can create and be anything. So sometimes it's fun for a soul to go into this kind of a limited story. It's like when we're watching a story, we have a limited timeline to watch that story or experience that story, but we do it fully conscious of what is in the afterlife, the freedom that we are these divine sparks, these divine beings, and we are in complete harmony with that. So we can heal ourselves, restore ourselves, we can co-create the reality, we can just be completely free and incarnate freely and leave the incarnation freely. And we know the connections we have with the different spirits that incarnate with us, while in this imperfect copy of that main timeline or main planet Earth. And for some reason I always see it on the right, and the matrix or this kind of copy, I see it on the left. And I often wonder why, what's even the meaning of like that we call the right side is something right, like right or false, so it's the right one. And then left, why does it have this double meaning of like being on the left side, but also left like past tense of leave? So it's something we maybe already left, but it's still there. So like this, in this world, it's really hard because we are disconnected from these multi-dimensional abilities and these like worlds that are beyond the 3D perception. And we forget, we have the soul amnesia, we forget where we came from and why, and we forget how to get back oftentimes, and we can get kind of trapped in this loop of reincarnation that is maybe meaningless for some souls. I'm not saying it's always meaningless, but for some, like some can get like kind of trapped in a loop because they forget during all these reincarnations where they originally came from and why. So it's really hard to be here because also the society kind of like discourages us from exploring these multidimensional abilities, and it's very left brain oriented. So again, the left side, it's all about the rational, and the like fantasy and creativity is kind of ridiculed. It's just your imagination, it's just your fantasy, where actually the fantasy and imagination is the key to that real, the right and original and prime reality. And that's why I think many artists so easily tap into that, and that's why then people take their art even so seriously. I mean, we have many books and many movies that people take really seriously, like this could really happen, this could be our future, this could be our ancient past, and it just comes from the fantasy or imagination or creativity of the one who created the story. And I mean, all the inventions are a result of creativity, fantasy as well. But the right side of the brain, of the mind, is still like being kind of not taken as seriously as the left side. And that's again the matrix, you know, promoting the left brain kind of thinking. And so it's, I found recently that it's really very much about the balance in this world, like to keep the left side to survive in this matrix, but to like work with the right side to know that true, real essence of who we are, where we originally came from. In that original planet or in that original earth, we coexist there often. We actually can like first incarnate there and from there here. It's kind of then we skip the astral level, which can be quite tricky. So some souls prefer to incarnate that way. And how it works is that then you have like a parallel 3D body there, and from that you shift your consciousness into this matrix. And it's very interesting because since I've been journeying there so much now, it's sometimes so easy that I just sense my parallel body there, and I sense who is there with me, the beings that look after us. It's a lot the elves and the gnomes and the different elven beings. There's such variety of beings. For me, at some point, it started to be like a memory, like I'm just aware that I am there and I just remember it. Before I started to inner journey, one of my friends that is on the other side, a very good friend that crossed over, she told me that she's in the real earth and that this is not the real world, that it's just a copy of the real world. And she actually got me thinking and remembering, okay, like that's where we originally are, and I would like to look there. And then I started to travel there. But it's easier to incarnate that way because then you avoid like this low vibrational astral level that is sometimes hard to pass. Why we go to the matrix, I often wondered that. And you know, I can only speak from my own experience, of course. I'm not gonna pretend to know it all, but from my own experience, there are different reasons to incarnate into this matrix. Some of us come here because there's a certain loved one who's, of course, we are with our loved ones always in that prime reality, with the higher self, but maybe they're part of their higher self incarnated in the matrix and got maybe trapped in the loop of reincarnation, and we maybe come here to be with them or to guide them or to help them in some way to get back. So that's one reason. Another reason is that it's just an adventure, because this matrix is really tough, it's really low vibrational, it's very dualistic, as we know. It's not easy at all. And also because of the soul amnesia, that we forget where we came from and why and etc. So it's for adventurous spirit that want to maybe experience this extreme limitation of consciousness, because it's an extreme limitation. So adventurous spirits, but then there's always the risk to get trapped in the reincarnation cycle, in the reincarnation loop or trap. But these spirits are aware of it. It's kind of like, you know, I like to compare it to that somebody decides to go on a vacation to a spa, 5-star hotel, and enjoy luxury. And some people decide to go on a very adventurous trip and maybe try bungee jumping, swim with sharks, whatever. Like, so these adventurous spirits, they're aware of the danger, but they come in anyway just to enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey. Then there are souls that, of course, have been here since the creation of Matrix and kind of are like the gatekeepers, and they often can incarnate. They're quite like, then they are trying to keep the structure of their creation, their Matrix. And then there are souls that maybe forgot, you know, that they are here since the beginning when this kind of copy was created, and they just forgot how to get back. So there are different reasons why we incarnate here and why we come here, but it should always be a our own choice. It shouldn't be anybody trying to trick us here, whether it's the creators of this matrix or those who got maybe hooked on it or addicted to it, because it's kind of like an addiction, like on a computer game. Some souls are addicted to this matrix, to this low vibrational and very limited consciousness.